Welcome back to Conversations in Catapults, the #1 after show for the #1 D&D podcast. I'm your host, Nathan, and I've got a few festival goers joining me today. Say hello, festival goers.
Hi, I am a festival goer, and my name is Ben, and I also play the festival goer Windsor Wallaby on the festival show Trials and Trebuchets.
Look at all those fireworks! It's me, Carla, and I'm a festival goer #2 or 3. And I play the other festival goer in the Wild Cliff, which is like the show that the best show out there. Yeah. And Integrity Idleberry, the level 7 Tiefling Rogueblock, and Lemonade Master.
Lemonade Master.
I like how that title, no one else has a booth, so you are the Lemonade Masters.
True.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I am the 3rd or 2nd festival goer,
6th.
depending on how Carla has placed her number, and I play the lemonade drinking, haste-induced Saranep Cinderman, the level 7 human sorceress.
What about Carla's number would have you placed as #2?
She said #2 or 3.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was like #3 or 2, depending on where Carla put her number.
Oh, that's true. I forgot who actually originally said the 2 or 3 thing.
That was Carla.
That was me.
I feel embarrassed now. We gotta cut all of this. That way I don't seem
Yeah,
like a
my joke
dumbass.
made sense.
It did
How
make
dare
sense. You know what? That was on me, Sam. That was super on me. Oh, well, excellent. I'm so happy that I have the 3 of you joining me here today. Unfortunately, Sarah couldn't be joining us, but that's okay. We have a very
Oh no. It's starting.
Last name began with a it wasn't a Z, but it was close, right? What did the last name begin with?
Zed.
I think
Oh,
it was a
that's
Y.
right.
A Y. Sarah Yed.
Y.
Anywho, I'm so happy to have you all joining me here today. Do you guys just want to jump right into it? Or do you have any opening remarks about everything that has happened in these 3 action-packed episodes? And that's right, we are actually talking about 3 full episodes in this episode of Conversations in Catapults. It's a very exciting time for us.
That could count as like one whole, or half of a cluster of bananas.
What?
Wow.
Wait, a cluster is 6 bananas? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so most banana clusters are 6, but this one's half, so we have 3 bananas.
What is happening?
For someone who doesn't want a lot of bananas, I think that would still count as a cluster.
I feel like 3 bananas would be a pretty good breakfast overall. Maybe a little
That'd
bit
be like some
bland.
decent banana bread.
Unless they start
Oh,
eating
yeah.
your
I love
tongue
some
because
banana
of their acid.
Wait, what?
That's pineapples.
That's pineapples, not bananas.
And I know that because I have a strange obsession where I will just randomly buy a giant container of pineapple and just eat it all in one go and then just be numb
Acidic
for
bananas.
a week. Pineapples eat you while you eat them, so don't eat too much, kids.
Well, with that in mind, let's just go ahead and jump into it, shall we?
Yes.
Let's dive right
Yeah.
into that.
Bananas
water.
aside.
So,
Dive into the bananas.
all right. So a key question for a slice of life arc like this, where we're getting back to Wildcliff, that I had for everyone was, how much do you and Luke talk about your key NPCs outside of the game? For instance, Sam, Philip, and Saraneth had a really good conversation in, I think it was 1:30, and it seems like they are actual friends, like they have an established past. Did you and Luke actually have talks about different things that Philip and Saraneth have done together? Or on a similar note, Ben, how much do you talk to Luke about what Winslow's parents are like? Is that something that you all have really well established, or did you just give Luke a few traits, be like, Southern, nice, war?
Beautiful, beautiful mom.
And
Pop.
this question is open for everyone who feels, led to answer it. It was just something I was curious about as we see all of these NPC interactions.
For Saraneth and Philip specifically, I think I've talked about this before a little bit, but when we first created Saraneth, I had created as well a childhood friend, possible love interest. From there, me and Luke have not talked about Serenep's relationship with Philip and like stuff they've done in the past. Everything we do in the show, which was like a lot of fun to go through, is like the discussions that have happened so far with Serenep and Philip have like been improv 100%.
Okay, interesting. So that's the only time that you two talk about the characterization between these two is during the game?
Pretty much, yeah. Like we don't have external conversations about Philip and Serenep and like stuff they've done in the past. Like it's very much in game.
I gotcha. Are there any other NPCs who you do talk about with Luke? Just what they're like, how you establish the relationships between them and your character?
I think the only characters I've definitely talked about are, funnily enough, the people that have not made an appearance yet, which is Serenep's parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I don't know, and I think I kind of overdo it to a point. I feel bad for it sometimes, but like there's such a specific relationship I imagine Serenep having with her parents to a point where like I'll just have a thought one day and be like, hey, this is an example of how I imagine it. And then Luke messages me back like, I am on the exact same wavelength. I know exactly what, like this is what I was planning. I'm like, yes, perfect.
Oh, that's excellent. Ben, Carla, what about you two?
There has been very little discussion.
That is a valid answer.
In regards to the foundation constructed with these other NPCs. Windsor's parents are, I gave Luke like a base like framework. Here's the stuff that I want them to be like. Have at it. And anything else that I would want to bring up, I bring up in character because, you know, Windsor likes to talk about his parents a lot and his experience on the farm. So that adds a little bit more like, oh, I could use this or like sprinkle this
That
in here
makes
and all
sense.
that. It's more fun to do it that way, I think, instead of like, here's exactly everything that I want them to be and like how they should be and everything. It makes it a little bit more fun because I also don't know exactly what's going on.
Exactly. And, you know, at the end of the day, Luke is the one who is playing them. And so you have to, you know, give him that freedom as well, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. I think like for me, like the only people that I can really think of that in terms of that is my family. And the conversation with that is really just like me imagining how I would want the dynamic to be, because Integrity has like a couple of siblings. I'm not going to say exactly how many. I don't know if I've said it in podcast.
I thought it was established in some Instagram art, but I'm not sure.
Oh,
I thought there was a family portrait.
I don't think that has been posted yet.
Oh, oops. I just let a secret slip. My bad.
We were
Whoops.
waiting for this moment to arrive. Just like generally
You've only had those conversations about her parents.
Yeah,
you were
because
saying.
I want to think about how I want the dynamic to be. I don't exactly say, oh, it's this, that it has to be this. It's sort of like I even said, oh, for this relative, it's this, the vibe that I get from them is this character from a existing show. Like that's generally what I
gotcha.
say.
Okay.
Like, what have you done like that in the past with?
Well, for a long time, what my parents are and what my siblings are, just because like I'm like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so funny if this is a thing that, because like we constantly talk, and not just we constantly talk about the podcast,
Right.
but sometimes like it will come up and I'll be like, wouldn't it be so funny if this is how they are? And so my character building of them is like sometimes just like a point of conversation that we have, but not like super detailed. It's just like, you know.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
So I'm very excited to meet my family.
I'm excited to meet everyone's family.
Yeah.
And I was so happy to meet Ma and Pa.
We love Ma and
Wallaby.
Pa.
Mallaby
beautiful.
and Pallaby, as they are.
I love them so much.
We need to have someone draw them, please.
Oh my God.
I want it.
Aw. I thought Ben already showed a picture of them in the
No,
restricted
that
section.
was an out of context spoiler.
I don't know if y'all have seen Luca yet, but I'm just imagining Windsor's dad having that, you know, big mustache but no mouth type of look.
Oh.
from the dad
Oh
there.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Like the beady eyes, like big mustache. I don't know. I definitely see it.
We'll have
but
to watch
that's
it.
just
I
me.
love that.
I'll have to watch it tonight.
You please do. Get Luke to watch it.
I will.
Make him watch it with you. Tell him it's Conversations in Catapults homework, okay?
Okay. I'll take note of that.
Yeah.
Excellent. On to the next question, which is, you all got to a major milestone, which is making the decision to make Keepsie the Shepherd of Potentiality.
Yes.
Keepsie the Mimic, the very shrill voice, crazy chest,
Yep.
was your best option.
Yep.
Yes.
I feel that there's some condescension in our thoughts. Is that true, Nathan?
Honestly, the condescension is not towards any of you. It is towards the fact that Luke is the one who's putting all of these people in your path, and the best one he put in your path was a talking chest.
Well,
Listen, the talking chest hasn't attempted to either like kill us, impede our progress.
It's true.
They're like the best option that we have for a candidate for the
Like, they
Shepherd of
want to
Potentiality.
They want to protect people. They don't have previous engagements of a high rank job like Semilai. Like, honestly,
they're the only one that doesn't hate us and can do the job.
Yeah, literally every other powerful being hates us.
What I really love is thinking about Swim as a big business looking for someone to hire in an interview, and y'all are just around a conference table trying to figure out who would be the best person, all while making lemonade, as you do.
Yes.
But
Very important
Anywho.
business.
regardless of opinion, Keepsie is the Shepherd of Potentiality now. It is what it is.
Potentially.
True.
Unless
true.
they're like,
are
no,
you planning
please don't.
something?
I don't want to be.
Oh, that's
Hey.
true. I don't think we can force someone to have it.
That's true. Keepsie may say no, and that'll be a bummer.
Yeah, we have to.
But we
let-
can sweeten the deal by giving them legs and eyes and arms.
But only legs and eyes and arms. We are not changing their form whatsoever. They get to be a nightmare creature that lives in a void.
Ew.
So tell me, assuming it all goes through and Keepsie ascends to their new position, what is the worst possible outcome for everything outside of that all of time ending? You know, how is Keepsie going to change things up? Because you know Keepsie's going to put its own personal spin on things, right?
Yep.
I think because specifically Keepsie has been kept to one spot, they do not have eyes. They do not have, like, the senses. All they have had around them is birds. I think they might destroy all birds in existence.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
That's
How
not
I
that's
think
not
they
the
have developed a
craziest
hatred of
assumption.
birds.
Poor Keepsie. Keepsie's just trying to keep to themselves, and you're all
Exactly. So, like, but, like, hear me out, though. Like, their entire existence has been these birds that have just been going crazy around Keepsie's, like, form at all times.
Yeah.
Because birds tend to not shut up.
Yeah,
Let's
think
be
about how
honest
often
here.
Keepsie has had to listen to the whole
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Gosh. And all like the
That's a pretty
previous
good Luke
warlocks,
impression, right?
Bi.
Speaking of previous warlocks, considering one of their main goals is to make sure that warlocks don't die by signing their
And
book,
they haven't succeeded so far, but
I would say by having more power to do good and saving warlocks, there might be a large influx of warlocks down the line for all we know, because they would want to find whichever timelines or whichever fates have these warlocks living to their fullest. So they would want to make that the end result. So that would mean, oh my gosh, there's so many warlocks now.
I feel like that would
Where
be
did
such
they
a-
all come
so
from?
Hey, that is some galaxy brain shit, and I'm here for it. I hope that becomes canon.
I feel
That's so
like
good.
That would be like such a power trip. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been failing all these 40 years. Now all the potentialities will be all warlocks succeeding at defeating their killers.
Patrons.
They're killers.
if you look at the title, The Shepherd of Potentiality, it's meant to protect and watch over, keeping the wolf away from the flock, protecting the warlocks from whatever the fuck their patron is that would kill them. Like,
However, they would probably have a hyper focus on warlocks. So They might want to do good for warlocks, but when it comes to others, how would they interact with that?
Damn, so they're not as
That's
unbiased
true.
as we thought.
It might
haven't seen
might
any
fuck
negative
us
bias.
over a little bit in the long run because, you know, they want
But
to.
we're associated with a warlock.
Yeah,
And
true.
Also, we haven't seen anything that would indicate Keepsie to dislike any specific type of person, whether it's a wizard, a rogue, etc.
No, but
It might just be treating them all evenly, but then giving a little bit of preferential treatment.
yeah,
to
the
warlocks.
best
Yeah,
outcome
like-
for a warlock, however, may not be the best outcome for everyone else. It could possibly be the worst outcome. So
I
Who knows?
I personally think that like we've made our decision, having a be like of our choices, having a being who it would be indifferent to other races and generally doing their job and maybe having a favor to warlocks is better than some of the other options that we had.
Yeah, it's very much, either a buyer's market or a seller's market, whichever this one is.
the less dramatic choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Keepsie's a great choice.
All that,
Hughes is a
I am
wonderful
all
choice.
for Keepsie. Literally, my first question when I was writing questions for the previous conversations in Catapults, the first one that I had begun writing while I was listening to the episodes was, "Oh, would Keepsie be unmortal and wise?" And then it was literally asked in the episode. It's been on people's minds ever since Keepsie showed up, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. That was the first thing that my mind went to as well.
I will admit that it was not mine, but it was a good conversation to have in the end.
Well, one last thing, and then I'll let y'all go, which is, this is a potentially new recurring bit that I wanted to do.
A bit,
See if
you
y'all would
say.
be interested in doing this or not. But it's a very special time with the festival. We're going to see a lot of parents and relatives.
Mhm.
And I wanted to do something fun for us. Whenever someone showed up who was related to either, one of the player characters or a main character NPC,
Ooh.
like let's say a Lindemann relative or something like that, shows up, how about we grade the parents?
Oh, it's like
Oh my
I
gosh.
love this.
I don't know.
love
I
this.
don't know if any of y'all have seen like Wayside before.
Yes.
But it was like that.
Yes.
It was like that one episode where it was like the end of like school for like the summer or whatever, and at the end, the students had to give the teacher a report card instead of the teacher giving the students report cards.
The entirety of Wayside was
Oh.
just a fever trip.
So
that
I imagine
I
it's
watched a
probably
lot of.
along the lines of that, where we're the ones giving the report cards to the parents.
Damn.
Yes, it will be us as players
I
sitting
love
down
it.
and saying, "Hey, Ma and Pa, or Malaby and Pallaby, all right, on an A to an F, where do they rank?"
A plus.
Doing them all together, like not separately as parents.
Oh yeah, no, we can do all of our own separate rankings. This is all, we're all the different teachers. Ben, you're giving them an
A plus, hands down. If you give it anything lower than that, whoa.
Jesus Christ. I feel like, I don't know, like you see like the very homely character in movies, like with the homely parents, and it's a good thing to have. It's the wholesomeness and insanity. I give them an A plus. They're amazing.
As of the moment, there is no reason to give them anything below an A plus.
I'm glad
I
you
don't know
all
if I'm
share
allowed
my
to
thoughts
judge.
on the situation.
Am I allowed to judge or no? Am
You
I a
can
teacher,
judge.
or
Go
is
for
it
it.
just-
Yeah.
I mean, you
Go
said we're
Thank
all
you.
teachers here, so
Perfect.
You're technically inside of a pebble, but you're still a student.
Oh no, Canon Nathan's parents show up. Where is our child?
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no.
here's your child.
Can we also rate the Wraithrin father, because he's technically a parent at this trip?
Oh,
we haven't,
boy.
we've never rated
That
him
is
before,
true.
and I want
Oh.
to.
All right, that's fair. Here, let me just say, get it out of the way. Yeah, A plus for both of them. They rule. Ma and Pa set the bar currently for parents.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is a high bar to meet. Elric, on the other hand, immediately drafting Mira in his crusade to win back Dalnis's mom.
Like, with an
Honestly-
activity that she doesn't enjoy, and he refuses to listen to the fact that she doesn't enjoy it. Like,
Yes, but he was also incredibly complimentary about dating Delnus.
Am I allowed to
like-
make this joke, but like D for dick? Because
Yes, because you're saying that Elric is a dick.
yeah, because I mean, okay, it's cool that he was like, okay, you can go check if she'll be fine with it. But sort of like to corner someone like that, I don't think that's super cool. But I didn't give him an F because of the because of that part, and also complimenting Mira and be like, if you could be if anyone would date my daughter, like if I have a student who would date my daughter, I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, that was manipulative as shit.
Yeah.
Like, just
So D for
Easily
dick for
the-
me.
I'm on the same place, like, oh yeah, cool, you compliment Mira because and everything, but you're only doing it because you want her help in this weird operation to get your ex-wife back. And that's not good. That's slimy, bro. It's gonna be a D. Only reason I don't give him an F is because he's super cool with Mira dating Delnus in the first place.
honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards F territory.
Ooh.
I know I brought in the like saying something nice about Mira, but then I remembered, oh no, that was just to get Mira to do what he wanted. And you know what? Considering not only that and the shenanigans in this most recent episode, but also, you know, running his family's finances into the ground.
That's
True.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know.
Can I regrade him,
He's-
please?
Can I regrade?
Yeah.
Can I drop it down to an F? I don't want him to.
Yeah,
I need him to go to summer school and learn how to be a better parent.
I'm keeping the
And
D
better
with
because
his
like, I
finances.
still want to use the joke that he's a dick, so I'm not gonna
There you
change
That's
it.
fair.
For
Ben,
dick.
what do you reckon?
I give him a C for cringe.
For cringe?
Oh yeah, the cringe is gonna come when we actually see his attempt to
Ugh.
win back.
That's gonna be the
I-
worst.
It's gonna be so good.
I hope to whoever higher power is listening that Luke sings a ballad
He's not gonna do that.
to
Oh my
fake
God.
to Delnus's mom.
He's not gonna do that.
But I just need I want something. I want some kind of musical accompaniment of some sort to play, because that means that this is something that's been stuck in Luke's head for a while.
We need to ask Sarah what her rating of Elric is, because I'm so curious.
Oh, that's true.
like
Randomly send a
remind
message
me-
to Sarah. Like, hey, I know
Remind me
you're-
the next time we record, and we will talk to her. How about that? We will get it as a makeup test.
Okay.
That'll work, yeah.
All right, perfect. Don't let me forget.
oh my gosh, I'm the most forgetful bug there is.
I am also horribly forgetful, but I
Well,
will
perfect.
specifically remember this.
And, you know, listeners, if you want to remind me, feel free to, you know, leave a rating or a review reminding me on the iTunes, you know, podcast, Apple review section. I realized midway through doing that plug that I don't do that in this part of the show. I actually do it in the
Oh.
second part
But
of the
like,
show.
leave a comment and get and share, and maybe you're also
Yeah.
forgetful, so share it to your friends who are better at remembering things, and then have them rate us instead of comment and saying, "Hey Nathan, remember to get Sarah to do a grading of the Wraithrons."
Let's hashtag that. Let's
You can
let's
tell
make
how
that
forgetful we
trending.
are.
Hashtag
God.
grade Wraithron.
Great Wraithrin.
Great
Well,
friend.
excellent.
Grade
Thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to seeing all of you next time on Conversations in Catapults. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having us, and bye.
Thank you for having us.
Now let's go slide to the DM. Du-du-du-du-du-du-du-du. I really
Welcome back to another segment of Sliding Into the DMs. I'm your host, Nathan, and today I am joined by Luke, who is
Hi.
making our favorite festival treats.
Yes, I do make many bad festival treats that some people might think are their favorites. It's me, Luke. Did I say that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, either way, I introduced you, so you didn't have to say your name at all. Tell me about your festival treat hot takes right now.
I think the one that I came up with was absolutely foul, and I couldn't think of anything better despite having things written down. but for some reason, when the episode started, I just didn't feel like reading. So came up with, what was it, like Jell-O with milk poured over it?
Yeah, you had a weird one. Also, it was like a weird name as well, because it was literally like Jim's Jellos, and then you said, no, wait, that's copyrighted. I need to make it Jim's Jellies.
I was thinking about that in the shower today, and I should have just
and then
called
you
it.
literally described it using the word Jello.
I know. I should have. I was thinking about this today. Genuinely, today I should have said that it was Jim's Jellos, which was JELL apostrophe AUGHS, like gel. Like
that
just
would've
Jellos. That would have been witty and in the moment, but instead we got Jim's Jellos, aka jellies, and then we got gross ass milk on Jello jelly. Fuck.
It never astounds me how that episode isn't out yet, by the way, for our viewer who is listening in, 6 weeks time based on my previous editing time.
That's what the backlog's for.
You can still go back and change that now. You can go back and edit that episode and switch it over. That would not be a hard thing to splice in,
Correct.
I feel.
Editing the show is fun because it lets me muck up what people say to make us seem way funnier than we are. But I very seldom go back to actually edit content of what we've said. Despite how much I think about it and go, it could have been so good. I could have just gone and redubbed Fidan's voice and then cut all the reactions that didn't make sense. But that would be rude.
And in a way, I guess you could almost kind of think of it as like dishonest to your players in a way. Because they don't get to be around for the changes in the moment.
That's one reason why I don't. I don't do one-off monologues. Like the show starts with like a shitty monologue. I didn't pre-record that. I just recorded it with the players. Like we were like, let's record, and then I read that out loud after 17 takes. But like anything like that, I love doing in front of the players because the game is fundamentally like the show is fundamentally our game. And what is the game if not for the players? So it would be weird if I did stuff devoid of them. The only time I re-record stuff is when audio is bad. That's it.
Absolutely. And as you said, it's very easy to, make people sound funnier with audio editing. Like, for instance, I can say anything right now and it'll sound hilarious.
It's true.
No, but really, everyone. We really should get started with the real show, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying yes. I needed your enthusiastic verbal consent in order to continue.
Well, there was a 7-minute pause there for the listener where Nathan and I just made eye contact and I was just like, am I supposed to speak or are you reading through your questions?
Here, let me write the questions first. I do still need to do that part of it.
We'll be right back, listener.
Ever since I became an editor, I've been like, fuck the questions bit. The hard work actually comes in after the episode is recorded. Why am I preparing anything for the pre-show? I need to only care about what comes after.
I can't believe I'm being roasted live right now. Oh.
Well, let's just jump right into it. I think out of these, because we were discussing 3 episodes today, I think the main thing that I want to speak on is focused very much, and I believe it was episode 132 that we got the most of this. Ever since I started editing, I realized how often I do like a prologue before a question.
I love it. I love the prologues.
Oh, you like that? That's a good thing?
I adore them. Because it's
fantastic.
Like, it's similar to when you watch like a cast and like the cast and crew for like a TV show sit down and get like asked questions by a moderator at like Comic-Con or just a reunion panel. And like the moderator will go on at length and kind of give some context to the question and then ask the actual question. And for me, I really like that. I can store that in my head pretty easily. So I really like those questions.
Perfect. Well, excellent. In that case, I will continue on instead of just restarting the question without the prelude. But I want to talk to you about how you portray parents for NPCs versus player characters, if there's a difference, and where that is.
Oh.
And this might be something that we see more of in future episodes as we see more and more of the player character parents. But in these episodes, we did get a lot of, we got Professor Alaro.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get her in a capacity as a mother necessarily, but we did get to see her, and we also were able to see Tim Robinson as Elric Wraithrin.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
Hey, no joke. I was re-listening to that episode today. That specific bit is just an I think you should leave sketch. It is this man in a Dan Flash's shirt runs up and just says, "Mira, we need to win back my wife."
Yeah, good shit. The show is going to be irreversibly changed with me having watched that fucking show. Like, I don't know if for the better or for the worse.
That bit.
Yeah.
It is not, like, you will only think of it as a Tim Robinson sketch now, where Elric is playing Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Jack Black stars Tim Robinson as Jack Black as an elf. Good shit. But like NPC parents. Was that the extent of the question? Yeah.
Yeah, it was essentially. I want to talk to you about how you, the different things that you prepare for the specifically parents who are NPCs.
Okay.
And if there's any difference between whether they're a parent to an NPC or a parent to a PC.
There super is a difference.
Okay, tell me about that.
And an interesting thing to point out with the two parents of NPCs that we have seen so far, is at least with Elric and Alma Alaro, Professor Alaro, is that those two have very little parenting, like parenting is not a key, like being a parent is not a key part of their character description, right?
We know them as professors, not as parents.
Yeah.
They just happen to be parents.
Yeah, that's a very key and deliberate kind of thing that I've done with those two, is like showing that there's a strain between Delnus and her father, and that he is first and foremost Professor Wraithrin as opposed to Delnus's dad, right? And then same thing with Professor Alaro, right? Like, I do not think that she comes across as like, hey, what's up? I'm Ira's mom. She's just like, I'm Professor Alaro. Ira happens to be my daughter, right? And then if we compare that to a character from a long time ago, which would be Nona Pella in the arc Whiteout, in episode probably 30, which is Sylvie's grandma, who is very much like, she doesn't say anything. She's just this old dragonborn. She's just like kind and caring and sweet. And it's like this little one-off
lady.
little moment, right? Or not moment, but like this small character, right? Versus a character who is fully formed in their own kind of way, such as Professor Elric or with Alma Alaro. And we can see that similarly with Winslow's parents, right? To contrast with a player character's parents. The Wallabies are formed around the fact that they are Winslow's parents. Like, they wouldn't come into this story as characters otherwise, so it's important to harp on the fact that they are Winslow's parents. And then we can build them as characters beyond that, like with Winslow's mom wanting to look very dressed up and like classically nice looking when going to see her son and like go to a nice big fancy school, as it were. And then her father we can characterize as being like, he's older, he's having trouble working on the farm, and like he's not as put together and is very much like stuck in that country energy, right? But at the foundation is built upon them being Winslow's parents. The same can't be said for Ira,
Right, for the others.
Yeah, for the others.
And now tell me, do you ever wish that you could have that relationship between NPCs foregrounded a bit with, I think the most obvious choice here would be with Elric and Delnus.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a glimpse of that, I think, with, Scandal.
Yeah, we did.
With the news of, hey, you don't have enough money to continue going to school here. And like Elric dealing with that, the supreme embarrassment.
Yes.
It's just a whole mess.
Yeah. And that's another, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to point that as like an actual good part of Scandal that I did like, was Elric turning from this very over the top kind of unbearable person to just being like angry and not wanting to speak or look at anyone and just shutting off and going to the basement, right? Like his primary concern was not like, how is my daughter? His primary concern is just like, I want these people out of my house right now, right?
because his pride has been hurt.
Yes, exactly. But do I want to put that on more of a forefront, or would I want to like kind of spotlight that a bit more than I have?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are, I mean, I think I'm setting some things like that up with long running characters, right? I don't think I'm going to introduce anyone in this arc and like directly at length spotlight them. Like, we're going to see the Lindmans and the way that the Lindman parents interact with that, because that's a minor plot thread that's been running on of like Angelica getting disowned, or maybe not. There's only one Lindman thing on the name or on the door now. What's going on with that, right? And so we're going to see that. But I don't know if I'm going to like stress that very strongly, because the Lindmans aren't characters first and then parents second. Similar things with like maybe Mirandine's parents, or maybe Alina's parents, or maybe or Philip's parents, stuff like that. Those would fall into the same kind of just like not filler NPCs, but NPCs that make the world feel full and kind of develop the characters. Like, you can see like, oh, their parents are like this. This is why they are the way they are. That kind of stuff, and just a fun interaction.
But you don't necessarily need to see a full scene of going through their specific family drama.
Yeah. The characters that I have developed, Alma, Alaro, and Elric Raithrin, those two I put on this in the scenes for a reason, is because I want to do something further with those characters and their children as NPCs, right? Like, Delnus is intertwined with Mira now and swim largely, and Elric is also intertwined with Mira because he's her professor. He runs her department, right? And that's fun because, you know, she's dating his daughter. And there's like the drama of like the debt, and there's the seeing Elric as not being a super great parent, and maybe the relationship with Delnus is a bit strained at the best of times. And then now, Autumn's End, Delnus' mom's coming to visit, right? And Delnus has stated that she likes her mom and wants Mira to meet her.
Has she ever stated if she likes her dad, by the way?
She has not. No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and actively warned Mira against coming to the house for the party and everything like that, right? Like, obviously she might have thought that the murder mystery party would go better, but obviously not.
Because her dad fucked it up, to be fair.
True. He could have just reacted chill to what Artist said, but instead he freaked out. And
can't have a goth kid without having a bad parent, you know?
Yeah. And so, like, the Delnus mom thing and, like, Delnus's family and her interaction with her parents was something that I had planned since Scandal. It's one of the things that I wanted to seed a little bit in Scandal, but we never got around to because the players were having a fun time goofing around at a party, and that's perfectly fine, right? But it's something I'm prepared for, right? And it's something that I've always been prepared for, like, Mira or someone else to ask Delnus about. And it's a similar thing with like Ira and her mother, who are much more background characters than I think Delnus. Like, Delnus is definitely a second string or a first string NPC. Professor Alaro might get there one day just because of the scenes with Mira and that kind of relationship that is blossoming in a way that I did not ever expect.
Right. Delnus, you know, this is a weird way to think about characters, and I don't necessarily recommend it. However, Delnus is a character where at least Mira's branch of the story would be irrevocably changed if Delnus died. The same cannot be true for Ira or probably even Professor Alaro outside of arm issues.
Correct. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, so when we say first string and like second string, I think that's a good way of like thinking about them.
I agree.
How big of a deal would their death make on the whole world?
Yeah.
Or not on the whole world, on
our world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of thinking about like, or codifying what first string and second string means. I'm going to keep that in mind in going forward when I try to describe how important an NPC is. We don't have that many first string NPCs.
We thought Artist was, and the story's been going on just fine without him for a long time now.
Yep, it has.
Irrevocably changed, perhaps, but
it means they'll talk about him once every couple of episodes, I guess.
Exactly. They'll talk to him every now and then, and we'll get a text back, and it'll be like, yeah, that's fine. You're a rock. You don't have a mouth.
Yeah. Gosh, someone in the audience actually messaged me a couple days before we recorded that episode 131, the one where they try to message and use magic to communicate with artists, asking me, is there a way to communicate with artists? And like, would just using message work? And I took a moment. I was just like, well, probably not message, right? Because that's just a cantrip. And you can hear me trying to stress that in the episode where I go,
Right.
you're going to use the message cantrip, the transmutation cantrip, or whatever it is, right? And I kept using the word cantrip because one of my gripes with me, hi, this is me, Luke, complaining about Luke, my new segment. I am very relaxed with what I let the players get away with in terms of using magic and their abilities, where I'm like, I mean, yeah, you could just do that, right? Because that's mostly for this. I can't even say that's for the sake of the podcast.
Wait.
What?
You mean you're aware of all of the things that you do that are occasionally not following the rules? You mean you're aware and that's okay?
I'm very...
That doesn't sound right to me, Luke. Excuse me real quick. I'm sorry. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Luke, I think if a rule went wrong, you have a right to fucking hear it from me.
Yeah.
I don't trust that you knew it about it, especially after editing the podcast and hearing it again yourself before you release it to me, the audience. I don't think you were aware of this slip up that you made that you listened to 4 times.
Nathan's trying to kill me right now. I can't
It's true.
breathe.
If I ever find a joke that's especially funny to a person, I will hammer in on it until it's no longer funny. And for Luke, that just has such a longer lifespan.
I'm just too fucking giggly. This is a side note, but I wonder if people who listen to this show just think that I'm being really kind and generous to my friends when I laugh at every single joke that they make. I'm just really giggly, and I do think my friends are just very funny. Like, there's nothing I can do about that, folks. But
It's very true.
a gripe is I let the players get away with a lot of stuff. I've historically done that. One such cantrip that I've let people go hog wild with is Ray of Frost, but that's a whole can of worms. And that's been like a cross campaigns kind of chronic problem of mine of letting people do wild things with very low powered magic. And so when someone messaged me and was like, hey, would Swim be able to talk to artists in the Pebble using the message cantrip? And I was like, no, they couldn't. And then
Using the cantrip?
Yeah. So in the episode, I was like, you're using this cantrip. No, that unfortunately won't work. Integrity, even using her class feature, Awakened Mind, had a larger likelihood of working, but due to like the wording of it, I would still consider it not to work. Yeah. I want
also,
them to
it's
use
like
their
the
magic.
first level class feature, you know?
Exactly. Use your powerful
You
shit.
get that when you get cantrips.
Yeah. Like, if artist isn't worth like your highest level spell slot, like what are you even doing here?
And if you didn't prioritize trying to communicate with rocks, what are you even fucking doing here when you were picking out your spells? What are you even doing here? Why are you doing this?
That reminds me of years ago. We did like the exams at the start of Whiteout, right after Pitter Patter, around like episode 28, 27. And Mira had her fucking bard or like her applications of music exam, and Professor Wraithrin goes like, what test should you do? And like gets a potted plant and puts it on stage. Is like, make the plant happy. That's because when Mira leveled up, Sarah could have chosen Speak with Plants as an ability or as a spell. She considered it and she didn't. And I was like, that sucks. Here's a plant. And she like, after the thing, was like, did you do that on purpose?
You asshole.
But she did great. She rolled amazing. I make my puzzles regardless of what spells the players have, right? Like sometimes it's just a happy-go-lucky coincidence that they have the key to fit in the keyhole, but other times I'm just like, hey, what the fuck ever? Figure it out.
You make a puzzle and you know all of the pieces that are required. If they don't have them all already, then they get them when they get to the puzzle. All right?
Oh,
I'm not saying it has one solution. I'm just saying that there's one built in that is
an emergency
always...
switch. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that would be smart, but I'm an idiot, so I don't do that.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
I make it a point never to argue with you on this podcast.
You
so-
don't? Oh.
No, I'm just joking.
I
don't
thought
make
you
it
just
a
thought I
point.
was always smart and right.
Well, I generally think that I enjoy talking with you on this podcast. And I don't want to make it a bad time by disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you also do happen to be smart and right about most things.
I wouldn't.
For instance, you were right about being very cool and like easy about using magic
Mhm.
and what you let the players get away with. So I think that was a very fun, we did spend a whole 20 minutes talking about that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how we do it, though.
That is how we do it. I appreciate it, and it's great.
Do you have any other questions?
I did have another question. Thank you
Okay.
for that great segue.
It was very good.
It was, which is, so in 130, I believe, we actually get a rare double feature, which is Delnus and Philip in one episode. So I thought now would be a great time to ask, especially since I think this is one of, if not the first time that we've really seen player characters' significant others on screen since Conversations in Catapults started.
It's true.
What special considerations do you take into account when playing a player character's significant other?
Oh, Delnus and Philip are really interesting because I take different approaches with them. Because with Philip, it was strongly a workshopped thing between Sam and I about who Philip would be, right? And so with that, I know it's just more tailored to be able to fit really well with Serenepth, right? And so that can lead to really fun moments, like their childhood. They've known each other since they were children, and all these other fun things. They have a good rapport between one another. I really like.
Philip was made before like he was ever on screen. He was a potential love interest.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And so he was made with that in mind.
Yes. Delnus was not. Delnus comes from a time when we had never ever done romancing NPCs ever. Or if we did, it would be like a one-off, minor, tiny little thing. Like it was never some grand quest to date this elf. So that
like the Delnus quest.
Like the Delnus quest is. So that caught me wildly off guard because I make NPCs devoid of thinking about stuff like that. Like most characters exist just for the purpose I need them for. And if the players want them to exist for a different purpose, I can bend my interpretation of what the character is because it's fun like that, right? And I can use the characters in new and exciting ways. You get to see how the character grows in these new, interesting things. Delnus was never supposed to show back up except for like minor occasions. She was supposed to be like, oh, that's Delnus from the second arc. Do y'all remember her? And then that's not how it's gone down. And so we've gotten a lot of stuff from that. That's really fun, right? And so with playing her as Mira's girlfriend, I'm very keyed into trying to keep Delnus consistent, right? Because that's and I think for Philip as well. But for Philip, it's a lot easier because both of us know how Philip should be. So Sam as Serenepth can say things that like cue me to respond in a certain way, if that makes sense. Like
I see.
Serenepth can reminisce about childhood memories, and we can like that kind of cues me into that style of thinking as well. Whereas with Delnus, she's just Delnus. There's not really that long history with her between Mira and
Delnus
her.
has no past.
Exactly. And so that's on me to present her as a consistent and well-rounded character. And when you're in that kind of romantic, constantly reappearing and building a closer relationship kind of a situation between between characters, they need to hold water better than a regular NPC would, right? Like they need to be internally consistent at the very least.
Right.
So at this point, I have notable things about Delnus and the way that she approaches situations that I just try to stick to as strongly as possible. And beyond that, I just try to make the moments fun to like be in, right? And like
absolutely
a little bit awkward as it would be, or like a bit memorable sometimes, and like have a good conversation between these two people who are getting to know one another in this new light, right?
That's fantastic. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that greatly. That's a very nice little insight.
I'm glad. Again, this is the first time I've ever done NPCs who get romanced, so it's like very much learning on my feet for me. It's not that different from just regular NPCs, but then I have to like, I don't know, say like things to my friends that I'm like,
you have to be they kiss you.
Yeah, There's a moment. Oh my god, I think it got cut from the show where like me just being like this came through in episode 103, the episode where Mira and Delmas get together, a flame drawn moth, where Mira is going on and on and on and on and on, and so like me as a person playing and knowing how my friends are making their characters and like being able to improvise off of them, my brain is like, Sarah's doing that thing that some people do in movies where the person just talks and like blah blah, or Mira's doing that
They
thing,
get
right?
interrupted with a kiss.
Exactly. And then I, as Luke, was like, Sarah, is this okay? And then she was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. Just because I don't know, because I just never done it before, so I don't know where the limits are with my friends, because we've done a lot of other stuff together, so I know where their limits are with like content and relationships and violence and these types of things and just topics and such things. But like romance is like the one area sphere of ignorance for our group, is something we've just never done.
Oh, goodness. Well, y'all do it well, and it's very charming at the very least.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that's
glad.
doing it well, in my opinion.
That awkward charm comes through, you're saying?
Oh, awkward charm in Trials and Trebuchets. Say it ain't so. What? This show?
Yeah.
This show here?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, well, goodness. I think that's actually a good as note as any to end on. Thank you so
sure.
much for joining me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate talking with you. I know that it was a bit of a shorter one, but I think that as the festival goes on, we will have plenty to talk about.
I hope so.
So stay tuned. And who wants to do an outro this time?
Oh, can I do it?
I see a hand there in the second row.
Thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of Conversations and Catapults. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Those mean a lot. They help other people find us, and they boost our egos beyond like the stratosphere, which I need more of, you know?
Mood.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us at Trials and Trebs on Twitter and Instagram. If you make art, send it to us. If you like watching or listening to teasers and seeing art we've commissioned, you can follow us there. Next up, there's a link in our in the episode description to go to our Discord server, where there's more art, there's more discussion, there's people on there that don't talk about any of those things and don't listen to the show, but they'll never hear
We're
this.
on there.
And we are on there specifically. And if you wanted to send something in for tinfoilery, a theory for Nathan to see, Nathan's eyes only, they're on there for you to DM as well.
Yes, I am. And I will be very easy to find. My name is Nathan, and I'm right there in the sidebar with a pretty color on my name because I'm very special.
And finally, before we go, if you were feeling very generous, or this episode just tickled you in a specific and way that evoked your wallet somehow, we have a link to our Patreon in the description as well. The Patreon lets us do wonderful stuff like make bonus episodes, or the Patreon doesn't let us make bonus episodes, but we make the bonus episodes as thanks for giving to our Patreon. This show
but
itself,
the Patreon does let us. Yeah, the Patreon does let us make this show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
like without the Patreon, we wouldn't be making this wonderful show, which has been good for, I think it's good for the audience to hear our thoughts on what's happening. It's very fun for the members of the cast to hear what one another are thinking. I know that much. And beyond that, it's just really nice to talk with you, Nathan, because you're a wonderful host and a good friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it also, the Patreon, very importantly, lets us pay for back-end things such as hosting the episodes, equipment, and replacing equipment, as well as just groceries and bills to help people make it through month by month, so we can keep making this show, and so that it's not like something that we need to cut out of our lives in order to get a third job or a second job or something like that, right? Because we like making the show, we like spending time with one another, but it is a time commitment, and like financial donations on Patreon help make that not as severe of a like penalty to living. Does that make sense? Is that too extreme?
If you can afford it, throw in a few bucks to our Patreon.
Yeah, if you can afford it,
Trials
please.
and Trebuchets, Google it.
Google it. Yeah. Patreon.com/trialsandtrebs.
Hell yeah, there it is. Well, thank you all for joining us. Luke, thank you for joining me here on the show. I look forward to seeing everyone next time on Conversations in Catapults. Have a wonderful, whatever time of day it is. I can't remember what I say here. I think that's the sign off, actually, is I can't remember what I say here.
I don't remember what the hell the sign off is. Bye.
Fuck me. Bye.